morning, everyone. My name is Cherish Dela Cruz, and thank you for attending the Dela Cruz Law Small Business Roundtable series. I am super excited to have Scott Siegel here today. We were just talking about how important relationships are and how God puts people in your life at the right time. And I feel truly that, and when they do, they are called God winks. And so perfect people, perfect time, and right opportunities. And so, and I feel that way very much about Scott and everybody on this call. I think that, we've started to develop a wonderful relationship. And I think that I could call any one of you who are on this call for as a resource and as expert in their field. And then also, you're all fun. So it's great. And, I want you to be able to, come to the events. I'm planning a lot of events in the fall. I'm hoping to have a beer tasting in the fall at Total Wine and More, and a couple of other in-person events and wine tastings for the women. But, if the men want to join as well too, I'd be happy to have you. But just excited that all of you are in my network. And so today, I met Scott through, I think, XPX about, yes. So, and funny enough, our circles have overlapped in the last couple of years. And he has become a great resource for me. We are both in another networking group, Infinity Partners. And through that time, I have found that Scott is a great resource for sales and just creative marketing ideas. And so if you need, and as I'm sure we all do, we want to learn about how we can grow our market and our business through sales. And just as I was saying in the LinkedIn post, sales isn't everything that we do. A conversation with a potential client or a conversation with somebody on the baseball field or a member of your church could be a potential sales call in the future. And so how do you develop that relationship? How do you foster it? And then how do you strategically put things in place so that those individuals, those clients, those potential referral sources become advocates for you? And Scott is just a natural at that. I love how he always emphasizes on his tagline that, by becoming a better salesperson, you are contributing to your community. You're fostering growth, you're fostering your local economy, and just really he's just a wonderful person. So Scott, thank you for being here today. And we are super excited to have you. And if you want to go ahead and get started.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. And Cherish, thank you for having me. So I wish you could have been there. Joe, a business owner with 15 years, just lost his biggest customer. Well, that customer was 40% of his business. Well, Joe wasn't surprised that customer was 40% of his business. Joe knew that. And Joe also knew that he should do something different, that he should have diversified his portfolio. And Joe knew that customer might leave someday. And as we all know, hope is not a strategy. Joe lost that biggest customer. And when you're a small business owner and you lose your biggest customer, he had to lay people off. As small business owners like we all are, they're our family. So what I want to talk about is how you increase your sales as planned. And if you do that, you're never going to do what Joe does. And for you or any one of your business owners, if you follow the process and you get the right people on your team, you literally, as Cherish talked about, you're going to make those business owners heroes in their community. So let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? So what I want to do over the next 20 to 25 minutes is talk about three things. One of the things we do is we talk to business owners every year. I want to share with you what we're finding. The second thing I want to talk to you about is, yes, believe it or not, business owners talk in a secret code. And I want to decipher what some of those are. And I'm going to ask you to listen for certain clues on what they say. But more importantly, how do you increase your sales as you want? What do you do to fix any issues you have? What do you do to avoid any issues you have? But more importantly, how do you put in a plan that will allow you to accomplish a great year? So let's get started. So one of the things we talk to business owners about is, how often do you travel with your sales reps? Well, believe it or not, only 5 out of 10 have had anyone travel with their sales rep in a sales call in the last 12 months. So you might ask, well, why is that a problem? Well, most small business owners either don't have a sales manager or don't have a marketing manager. And if you don't travel with your sales rep, how do you get information on how you might pivot your company? How do you get information from your customer on what they're seeing and having a conversation? And then how do you evaluate your sales rep? I love salespeople, but if you use your sales rep as the sole voice of your customer, you're not going to get good information and you're going to be disappointed. 6 out of 10 don't have an individual sales quota. So why is this important? How do you distinguish what is good or bad performance? If you don't have a sales quota, how do you know where you're going? And even more importantly, if you don't have a sales quota, how do you know that you are accurately compensating your sales team? 8 out of 10, that's 80%, don't have a sales forecasting tool or process. What we find is business owners that do, they're only forecasting in that given month, and they're only forecasting a trend. And when I talk about a sales forecasting tool or process, I'm not talking about a highly sophisticated tool or process. I mean, they don't have any. And as David would tell you, how do you know what to spend if you don't have an accurate forecast? I would drive David crazy if I didn't have a forecast. But not only do you need a forecast, you need a process and you need a tool that makes everything work together. How about this one? 8 out of 10 haven't performed an annual performance review in their sales rep in the last 3 years. How do you determine what is good or bad performance? How do you determine and write down expectations for the year and determine if those expectations are or are not being met? When we talk to business owners, we often find that they're disappointed with the direction their sales team is going. Well, when we talk to the sales team, they find that hard to believe. Well, how can that happen? It happens because there isn't an annual performance process that is written and clearly communicated out to an organization. How about this? 9 out of 10 don't have a customer relationship management system or a CRM system. What a CRM will allow you to do is keep all your vital information in one place. And think about this. What happens if you don't have one? And your best salesperson resigns. All that information is up here. When they leave, you have no contacts, you have no contracts, you have no idea where any of your deals are in the pipeline. That's why it is so important to have a CRM. And 9 out of 10 don't have a compensation plan that incents the behavior they are seeking. And once again, when we talk to business owners, they're disappointed that their sales team maybe is not focusing on profit. They're not focusing on a specific product or a specific industry. The reason being is they're not compensating their sales team in the right way. Salespeople are simple creatures of habit. They are going to go where the money goes. What you need to do is rewrite your compensation structure that it aligns with the company's goals. And I'll share with you in about 10 minutes how you can actually do that. So what should you listen for? And as I just mentioned earlier, business owners, and sometimes even we do, talk in a secret code. So let's go through what some of those might be. My sales have been at the same level for the last few years. Well, that's pretty straightforward. It's not good, it's not bad, but you can tell by the chart, right, your business is flat. Or how about this one? My sales have been declining. Well, that's pretty clear. It's not good, but you know that you have a problem. Or how about this one? All my sales are referrals. How many times have you talked to a business owner and they're saying, I'm having a great year. All my sales are referrals. My phone keeps ringing off the hook. Well, we've all been doing this a long time. What happens when the phone stops ringing? When a business owner says, all my sales are referrals, what that means is they do not have a new customer acquisition plan. Or how about this one? I can't find the right salesperson. How many times have you talked to a business owner who might have hired 6 different salespeople in 6 years? What they're really telling us is they have high turnover. They didn't have a structured interview process. They didn't put the right person in the right seat. They didn't have the right compensation program. Or this one, too much of my annual revenue comes from a couple of clients. Well, I can tell you from experience, this doesn't happen overnight. When you first start, your first customer becomes 25% of your business. Then they become 40% of your business. And they give you a little bit more and they become 50% of your business. If you do that with more than one customer, you're going to have a big problem. So when they say too much of my annual revenue comes from a couple of clients, they don't have a diversification strategy. Or how about this one? My sales team is not following our corporate directives. Well, that means they don't have a strategy. And it means the sales team has taken over and the business owner has lost control. That happens. And this is my favorite. And I've used this one with my good friend, Robert Rosner. We have a seasoned sales team. Saying that your team is old and unwilling to change doesn't really work. When they say they have a seasoned sales team, what that really means is the sales team is going in one direction, the business owner wants to go in another direction, and they don't know what to do. Or I'm uncomfortable with my sales team's activity. What they're really telling you is they have no idea what their sales team is doing on a daily and weekly basis to make sure that they're focused on exceeding plan. Or the training I put them through doesn't seem to help. What happened here was they put everyone through the same training. Typically in any organization, you're going to have experienced salespeople plus 20 years. You're going to have salespeople that maybe have 2 to 5 years experience. They need different training. What the business owner is saying is, I spent a lot of money, I wasted a lot of time, and it didn't fix the issue I wanted to fix. So let's transition to what you need to do to either fix or avoid. The first 2 things I talked about were all opportunities, either for any one of us in our business or any one of your business owners. So if you want to be heroes in your community, you want to help business owners be heroes in their community and scale their organization, how do you change the dialogue from why my sales are not increasing as planned to my sales are increasing as planned. So what I'm going to do is go through the top 10 reasons. I'm going to start at number 10, and I'm going to go down to number 1. Number 10, no weekly sales meetings. The most important thing you need to do is have a weekly sales meeting. And that weekly sales meeting should be focused on activities that are for the whole team. Don't focus on individual issues. You will lose the group. And then also make sure that you're doing one-to-one meetings. And don't make those one-to-one meetings about compliance. Make those about coaching opportunities. How can you help that salesperson become better every day, every week? And make sure that you're setting expectations on what people need to come prepared to. Send out an email 2 days ahead and say, Keelan, I need you to go through your pipeline. You have 5 minutes. And then the other thing to make sure is make sure you set these meetings up 6 to 9 months in advance and put on everyone's calendar. That very simply signals to everyone on your team, these are important. They know what the expectation is. And then either as a business leader or as a sales leader, it allows you to be a great role model because you need to make sure you come prepared to that meeting. You need to make sure that you go through your team's CRM to see where they are. Number 9, ineffective sales training. Right? We just talked about how disappointed business owners are when they send someone to training. The first thing that anybody needs to do is get out and spend time with your team. Remember, you're going to have a wide variety of experience within your team. Customize your training. Customize your training to fit each one of your reps' opportunities. What you are doing is you're signaling to them that you care, you want them to be better, and you're going to help them with a plan. And the last piece, and believe it or not, salespeople hate to role play. Role play should be used as a way to build a competency. And do you want your salesperson making a mistake in front of your largest customer? Or do you want them making a mistake in front of you where you can use that as a coaching moment to make sure they don't make that mistake in front of a customer? Number 8, no annual performance reviews. Everyone should be in the habit of sitting down once a year and doing an annual performance review. That is written. It also allows you to set expectations for the upcoming year. And not only should you do it once a year, you should also do it quarterly because things change throughout the year. And not only should you give feedback to that person, but once again, be a great role model, ask them for feedback on what you can do differently. And for the unfortunate circumstance, if you ever need to put anyone on a performance improvement or you need to ask them to leave the organization, a well-defined written performance review with quarterly touch points will ensure that employee will leave your organization with dignity and grace. Number 7, no customer relationship management system. I just talked about how vital it is to have everything in one place. The most important thing you have to do is engage your sales team in the process. You have to make sure that when you're building out your CRM, that you're using your company structure in terms and set the expectation with your sales team, what should be in there. Contacts, emails, phone calls, proposals, presentations, the company information, everything should be in there. And the other thing is, and I know this is going to be hard to believe, there's always some conflict between sales and finance, sales and operations, sales and the business owner. What a well-defined CRM will do is give everyone in that organization visibility. Everybody can see what's going on. Think about how much time you will save if you don't have all those siloed challenges and everyone else on the same page and they're moving forward. Number 6, no sales pipeline forecasting tool. Well, I just talked about how important a CRM is. Your CRM should be your sales pipeline and forecasting tool. And you need to set the expectation with your sales team. No sandbagging. Don't be overly optimistic. Be realistic. And the thing I suggest to everybody, control your own destiny before someone else. Think about Joe. Joe lost his biggest customer, right? I mentioned David would not be happy if he didn't have a forecast, right? He would be all over me on that. Number 5, an improperly staffed sales team. First and foremost, a sales team should be led by an experienced, well-trained sales manager. So when you're thinking about building out your sales team, how do you want to go to market? What does that structure look like? Do you want to be organized by outside sales reps or inside? Do you want to use hunters or farmers? Do you want to do it by account or territory, product or industry? And the reason that is so important is it is all about strategy, structure, and people. If you have the right structure, you're going to know what type of person will fit within that. And there's a clear difference between people that are hunters and farmers. Take the time to step back and make sure you have an experienced sales manager running your sales team. Number 4, no clearly defined sales metrics. As I mentioned, even the companies that have some goals, they don't have clearly defined sales metrics. So think about it this way. You're going to run a marathon in 6 months. You're going to run a couple miles next week. I'm going to take a week off. I might run 4 miles the following week. I'm going to take a week off. You might make that marathon. It is going to be unbelievably painful. Sit down and map out for your team what they should be doing on a daily and weekly basis. How many phone calls? How many leads? How much should they be closing? How often should they be in their CRM and updating it? And as I mentioned before, control your own destiny before someone else does. Number 3, no defined sales process. In your CRM, you need to build out a sales process that everyone can see. The first thing you need to do is make sure you understand your customer's buying journey and map out your sales process according to your customer's terminology and how they're structured. What that does is it creates common language and understanding within your organization. It creates visibility, it creates collaboration, and it creates clarity within your organization. And there are 2 other fundamental pieces that you need to do. Within each one of those steps in the sales process, you need to determine what needs to be done in order to move that forward. And it needs to be documented. And the last piece is you need to assign roles and responsibilities. Who is going to do what by when, and that needs to become part of your sales process. Number 2, the comp plan doesn't incent the correct behavior. Remember earlier when I said that we often find that business owners aren't happy with their salespeople because they're going in one direction and they want to go in the other? Salespeople are going to go where the money is. I would encourage everybody to build a compensation plan that will be exploited as planned. And what I mean is by planned, it should tie back to the company's goals for that given year. It needs to be a win-win for everybody. It can't be a win-lose or a lose-win. Everyone in the organization needs to be aligned on what that comp plan is. And if you do that, you will exceed your target. And if you hire the right people. The last piece that a lot of people underestimate, if you have the right compensation program, what that will allow you to do is retain and attract the best talent in the market, because they know they're going to make a difference in your organization. They know they're going to be complicated. And with turnover the way it is, even especially today, you're going to be able to hold on to that sales rep for a long time. If you think about the amount of money and training that it costs organizations to hire people, pay them, communicate with them, give them a voice in your organization. And number one, no shared detailed sales plan. The first thing you need to do is have a plan. It needs to be written down. And actually, the hardest part, it needs to be communicated. You can't tell them once. You can't tell them 10 times. If Diana was communicating it, Diana, you want them to say, Diana, stop, I get it. You want to continue to communicate so everyone in your organization knows what to go do. And don't underestimate how hard that is for how many times you need to do that. So once you do that, how do you get there? You have to go through an annual planning process and determine where you want to go for the next year. Do you want to focus on a specific product? Do you want to focus on a specific industry? Do you want to focus on a specific service? Then what you need to do is cascade that down through your sales organization and build quotas to make sure you have the right people on the right seats and there are clear expectations of what they need to do, and then tie their compensation to that. And then all of these goals must have SMART objectives. They must be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So what is the solution? I just went through the top 10 reasons how you can increase your sales as you want and as planned to make business owners heroes in their community and help them scale their organization. At the end of the day, it comes down to people and process. 5 of those top 10 revolved around people. 5 revolved around process. If you do that, you're going to be able to deliver more profit. You're going to be able to scale your business. You're going to be able to retain the best talent. Everything will work. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time this morning. And then, Shersh, I'll turn it back over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Great presentation. And what I'd like to do is go, like, if you have any questions for Scott, which I do, and then we'll, introduce ourselves just so that we can all get to know one another. I don't know if everybody knows each other on this call, but some of the questions I had were, this is the issue that I see with a lot of law firms. A lot of our clients are coming solely from referrals. And a lot of people who are on this call, it might be a referral-based business. How do we, as solopreneurs or, smaller shops, how do we get out of the mindset of only referral-based opportunities to either scale it or, any advice or tips on that issue?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is I would encourage everyone to really understand it, and Diana does this with her clients. What is your value proposition? Right? What value do you create for your clients? And you can't be everything to everybody. So who are your targets? Do you have a target industry? Do you have a target person? Take the time, and I see Diana's got things mapped out behind her. Take the time to go through those. Do the work, right? Years ago, they talk about the 4 Ps. Poor planning precedes poor performance. Take the time, book time in your calendar to think about where you want to go. And then once you do that, right, what is your business development strategy? Is it networking events? Is it speaking engagements like I just did? Is it reaching out to people? One of the other things I've learned is make sure you block time in your calendar to do that. The trick is to block time in the morning. We all get busy, right? And with all these Zoom calls, I need a nap like by 4 o'clock. I know.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Phil and Oprah, Robert's taking a nap, so you can't call Robert. But block out that time. And then always, when you're always talking to someone, think about a way that you can create value. So I'll give you an example. Cherish and I had a great conversation yesterday. And we were talking about how do you manage your time versus your energy. So there was an article I read that I sent her that was in the Harvard Business Review. That was how do you manage your energy and time so you're not working a million hours a week. And then the last piece is track how many meetings you have every week, how many networking events you're going to, how many leads, and how many speaking engagements. It's a multiplying event. I can tell you without a doubt, if you stop doing any business development for 3 months, for 30 days, it'll take you 6 months to catch up. But it's all about deliberate practice. You've got to be very deliberate about how you do that. David and I talk, 4 or 5 times a year, every couple of months. So you've got to make sure, and I'm learning a little bit more about David's practice time so that I can help him, and vice versa.
That's great advice. Anybody else have any questions?
No, I want to offer, I think and my business is not as much, it is a referral business, but the current load of clients is based on kind of my last 6 months of activity, my last the things that I did in those last 6 months. I have loved it. I'm a natural. I was a salesperson. I have a marketing degree, but what I'm learning is that when I have a heart for how I want my business to look. And I feel like the sales energy and the things that you're talking about today are always wrapped in more ideal clients or new programs that I know I have to offer that no one knew about 6 months ago. So my current business reflects my past activity. My sales energy, like what you're talking today, is like I've developed some new things that I know my owners need, and no one's going to know about it unless I go out and sell it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's like where, like, I'd love to have a sales force, but like in coaching, you have to be careful because you need to be connected to the coach. So the coach is the salesperson, but I think this is a way that solopreneurs Cherish and Scott and for all of us can think. It's like, is your book right now of clients really ideal? Like, are you serving right now all your avatars? And there's nothing wrong if you are or aren't. It's that then your sales energy will reflect what you want more of going forward. So I don't know. That's how I focus that energy, and would love any insight you have, Scott, on how to systemize that even more for those solo people that, are spending that time.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely agree. So one of the things I do, I purposely put on my calendar every Friday morning, an hour and a half, I call it quiet time. And I shut my phone off. I might put my favorite radio station on as loud as I can so I don't get in trouble. But I just spend time thinking, right? Because all of our businesses are constantly evolving. We're coming up with new programs. If you don't communicate what they are, no one is going to know. Mm-hmm. So there's a tool I use. If you think about a year and breaking things down in chunks, right? There are 4 quarters in a year. The mistake a lot of business owners make, and I'll send this to everyone after, it's a cheat sheet I use. If you break down, the mistake people make is, I want to do 12 things. And guess what? They try to do all 12 things in the first quarter of the year. David, that never works. Right? That's why my hair is gray and I have no more hair, because I tried that. What you should do, Diana, to your point, is figure out what are the 3 most important things you have to do in Q1. And until you accomplish those, don't add 3 more to Q2. It might be only 3 things. So Diana, if you're coming up with a new program, You need to break that down and say, okay, how am I going to market it? How am I going to advertise it? How am I going to communicate it? Who are the list of current clients I need to call and book time with? That takes time. People underestimate, as you shift in your business, the amount of time and planning it takes. If you take that time in planning, I can guarantee you're going to get a much better result. But don't try to do 12 things in the first quarter. It just won't work. Be very deliberate and purposeful about where you spend your time and how you spend your time.
That's
God, I've
great
been
advice.
going through an exercise lately, and there's probably several people on this call that knows Tim Fulton and Cherish and I are in a mastermind group. And one thing we do to take that even further, and Diana, I couldn't agree more with Scott, even with the small business, is to figure out what those 3, and I've heard as many as 5 important things are, and get them down on paper. And let's talk about them periodically, whether that's every week or 2 weeks or every 30 days. And our goal is to accomplish those. And it's all about throwing resources at them. It's not about performance. It's all about resource allocation. And these are important to me, the owner, and let's get them done. But what I started to say, Scott, is Tim has us come down with 3 weekly goals, both for business and personal. And Cherish, I don't know about you, but that keeps me even more focused on my goal of accomplishing my quarterly goals.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when I feel like I set, because our masterminds are at the beginning of the week, and when I do set that intention, even on a subconscious level, it kind of sets the tone for the week. And so when I do it, so I mean, in terms of
We keep each
accountability,
other accountable.
yeah, right. And so that accountability part. So but yeah, I mean, I think that is very, very helpful in setting goals. And as entrepreneurs, I mean, Scott, the fact that you did highlight, just focus on the top 3 things, it's so and I think Diana maybe be able to relate to this, but I literally have entrepreneurial ADD, where I have all of these great ideas and I want to implement all of them overnight. Yeah, Roselle's shaking her head, and you're like, but trying to focus on those 3 key movers. And I think, a lot of us are on the advisory team of business owners, or we are business owners ourselves, and trying to get out of that mindset of we can do everything now. And as impatient as I am, I want it done overnight and perfectly. And so it can be a challenge to just focus on the 3 things.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite word is focus. You got to focus on what.
Right.
The other thing that I share with people is I'm a big believer of consistency, repetition, and simplicity. And David and I've talked about this. Simplicity is really hard because you got to eliminate all the complexity and distractions. I mean, I literally shut my phone off, and I tell my kids call my wife if it's an emergency, but right. But think about the times if you're really working on something. It could be an Excel spreadsheet and someone calls. And I don't know about you, I go, oh, where was I? You lose that train of thought. It works if you trust the process and you just do a little bit better every day. You will be able to scale your business in the right way. It might not happen, Cherish, as fast as you want, but I can guarantee you're going to get a much better result in 2 years. Guaranteed.
Well, I love how you're talking about this because it's foundational. It's like building a foundation, like don't move on to the next thing until we want scale that is sustainable and, lasts, right? Not just a great last 6 months of our year if it doesn't really contribute to the long-term growth of the business. Yeah.
And if you think about businesses that we all admire, that Apple's a great one. They were an extremely well-run company, but they're constantly innovating, but they focus on the fundamentals. if you take that and you think about actors or actresses that only are really selective about what movies they pick, there's a reason. If you think about sports teams, Alabama, Nick Saban, right? He focuses on the fundamentals and he has a process. David's laughing. He's going to continue to win, right? But he has a plan, he has a process, and he recruits the right kids, right? And my favorite team, the New England Patriots, there's a reason they won all those Super Bowls, right? They call it the Patriots way or anything like that. If you step back and just think for a little bit about any one of those, right? They have a plan, they have a process, and as importantly, they pick the right people. You've got to surround yourself with the right people. Especially in the small business, one of the most important decisions you have to make is hiring. If you hire the wrong person, it causes chaos, and it will take you 1.5 to 2 years to recover.
Great. This is great advice. And so are there any more questions? Because then we can go around and just, do introductions just in case everybody, but thank you, Scott. That was very informative. I'm a note taker, as a lot of you know, and I took down a lot of tips and just the whole thing about focus. I'm going to put it on a sticky and put it on my computer and just focus on the 3 things. And David, I will get you my accountability list today. David was so gracious yesterday to host our mastermind, and he did a great job.
Hey, I didn't want to ask on that. Sorry, I brought that up, Cherish, but I did see something in one of your emails. Are you, and Scott kind of brought it up with quiet time. Are you trying to only answer emails at certain time of the day? And if so, how is that going?
It's not going. I mean, I think I'll go through periods of time, but yes. So I'm like Scott, where I need to focus. I honestly have, really, I do have entrepreneurial ADD and I do have ADD. So there's this distraction factor, but then also running a staff as well. So, not having their needs press on me and, being really intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've carved out times like this, but the actual working time, I find it very hard. And so, sometimes the work time bleeds into the weekend, and I don't want that, because that's the only time where everyone else slows down. And so just trying to be very intentional with that. I think the time blocking of the calendar is helpful. But I need to be more intentional with how I manage my staff to say between 11 and 12 every day, you can contact me, and then stop looking at my phone. It is just horrible. Like
lock it.
Yeah, right. And so, and then, I should not look at my phone right before I go to bed. Like that is just the most horrible thing. It's bad habits that I know at the beginning of the month, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then midway through the month, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, and I can consciously know that that's the fact. But yeah, I am trying to carve out specific times to respond to clients between 4 to 5. Every day. So, but yeah, if we can go all around the room and introduce ourselves, thank you again for joining today. You are my wonderful network, and I am truly blessed to have all of you in it. And, Scott and I were just having this conversation, really who you surround yourself with on a day-to-day basis, on an accountability basis, really, is, how far I've come in my business, and how far I want to go. I know I will need the help of everybody. And so it's nice to know that I can leverage these wonderful relationships. So my name is Cherish Dela Cruz. I do estate planning, probate work, business succession planning. So I'm in a lot of the same spaces that you are, where we're advising business owners. It is my hope that all of you get to know one another. Scott, do you want to go? And then we can go to Diana, and I'll just go across.
Yeah, my name is Scott Siegel. My company is Beacon Sales Advisors, and I help business owners who are struggling with sales by rolling up my sleeves and working side by side with them.
Hey, good morning. I'm Diana Murphy. I am the coach, the mindset and life coach for the business owner. And I solve the overwhelm and over worry and overwork that many owners are in because of like what Cherish is talking about. I think that, it's really easy to be an ADD brain because we have such big vision for our businesses. So I help my clients get really grounded and really improve their outlook and step powerfully into their leadership shoes so that they have the growth that they want, but also the life they want.
Definitely. David, if you can go next.
Good morning, everybody. I'm David Wood. I'm a partner with B2B CFO. I think I've met everybody on the call at least once. A couple of you know fairly well, but I have the opportunity to help private owners of privately held businesses with their struggles. I provide CFO services on an as-needed basis, so I can come in and help them. Scott hit on a couple of my favorite subjects, which was planning and just helping them. It's more than just the numbers, but sometimes I'm the first to see that their incentive plan is not incentivizing the right people in the right way, whether it be sales or whatever side of the business it may be on. So it's, again, the gray hair has been around the block. I don't think I see anybody in their 20s on this call, not to say that this is an old folks club, but we all know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, David Wood, but so yeah, CFO services as needed.
Yeah, my kids aren't even in their 20s anymore. It's frightening.
Keelan, if you want to go next.
Yeah, I'm Keelan Ramsey with R3 Office Solutions. We're a commercial office furniture dealership based out of Lawrenceville. So we help clients with all of their commercial office furniture needs. We're based in Lawrenceville. We do work all across the country, predominantly in the Atlanta metro area, but we do work on a lot of projects across the country. So I'm always in seek of businesses that are moving or growing.
Awesome, good. Ronnie, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Ronnie Genster. I'm a widow. I have a business called Bereavement Navigators. It has two parts. I work with widows, widowers, and adult children on all the personal and practical things that they encounter and that they're struggling with after the death of a loved one. It's kind of like being a Sherpa taking people to a mountain they've never been before, because when my husband died, he was 61 years old. I had no friends who had been widows or widowers. The second part of the business came as a result of people coming to me and asking me if I would do the following. Basically, what I call it is succession planning of a different kind, meaning should you have a spouse or partner who is either incapacitated, not necessarily dies, or dies, could you, as the other person, take over for them? Do you have all the information, the details, things that I didn't? I mean, I did know where all the assets were. That was the good news. And I thought that was all there was to know, but it isn't by a long shot. It's the easy part. So I help people prepare what I call their own succession plan so that they have all the information, and encourage them to constantly update them, as if something happened at any time, would you have all the information or would you be at a loss? And that's where all the frustration and anger and all the other emotions come out. So think of it like succession planning, kind of like when you go on a cruise ship and you go out on deck at 4 o'clock in the afternoon with the life jacket on, and they give you instructions of should you have to get into the lifeboats, what you would do and what would happen. That's in essence what I'm doing, is it's planning. Ronnie Genster, Bereavement Navigators.
Awesome, thanks, Ronnie. Robert, last but not least.
It was still one after me, but thanks, Cherish.
Oh yeah, Brazil. I'm sorry.
And even in my limited vision, I saw 8 squares, but okay. Good morning, Robert Rosner. Just briefly, I started in June my 48th year as an independent life and disability broker. Got to decide whether soon I'm going to make it a career or not. I enjoy working with physicians, business owners on their key person succession planning, heavily in the disability arena. And also I enjoy working with other advisors, if it's a health agent or a property and casualty agent that wants to use my 40 years experience, my CLU professional designation, or Scott, my gray hair. Rosner, your friend for life.
Thank you, Robert. And Roselle, last but not least.
Well, Robert, I'm a 40-year property and casualty agent, and I decide if it's going to be my career too. Corporate risk advisors, and I work with clients, business clients, in solving risk management and their insurance needs. My clients are across the country. In Jordan, for some reason, I have a weird one in Amman, Jordan, that's kind of sticking out.
Oh.
But they typically, my clients come to me when they are having difficulties. And I tend to gravitate towards the much tougher client that has either a weird product that they're doing, or they've had claims issues, or there's something about them that makes them difficult. And that's when I get excited. So I like to work with the tougher clients. And my business has really grown by referral. So I'm trying to figure out how to implement exactly what these goals are, how to make them work for me, because I know that it's all good process. And I have been starting to block time and specifically say, this is my time to be quiet and think, which is tough because it seems like, you know, there's always somebody, they'll send you an email. And if they can't get you that way, they're texting you. And if it doesn't, they call you, and, you know, you're like, got to be there for everyone. And I struggle with your Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, sometimes trying to catch up on the weekends with the stuff that you just can't do when you're having all the daily interruptions. So I feel you.
Yes, yes. And Roselle, you're great. You know, I recently used her for my cybersecurity, and it's been fantastic. So, you know, what I encourage, and is it okay if I share everybody's information after this? Because, you know, really one thing, and Diana will attest to this, but and I guess everybody on the call, but I really love connecting my connections, because I'm very intentional about who I spend time with. And you wouldn't be on this call if I didn't think highly of you. And really, my network is just, I'm so grateful for it. But I also want you to foster your own relationships with one another if you haven't already done so. So I will share the recording. And then I will also share, just in case you want to share that. Is that okay, Scott? If I share the recording with them, I'll upload it to my YouTube channel. But I also think that there are some key points that maybe you can, you know, share with your business owners or share with other teams, and really just to be a resource for one another. And I'll share all of your information. And just to let you know, I will be having a lot of in-person events. I started this chapter, and I was telling Scott Siegel about it, but it's called What Women Want Networking. And it's not exclusively for women. There are some wonderful men in there, and it's on July 22nd. I'll send you some information on it. It's going to be at Vino Venue. But really, you know, this is just a way of all of us gathering. So if you are interested, I'll definitely send you the info, and, you know, come if you wish to. But I think one thing that this gentleman that I had met who had come, and I think Robert said that he may be joining us, but like, women network in a different way. And so we're very open, and we're very just in a different style. So I'd love for you to join us. And that's the next event that I am having. And then in the fall, I'm definitely going to do some beer tastings, maybe a whiskey tasting, or some other events where we can all get together, because I'm like Scott, I'm totally zoomed out. I need human interaction. Although it's chaotic trying to manage an online schedule versus an in-person schedule, I think that we can benefit from all meeting with one another. So, but thank you
Yeah,
very much. Oh yeah.
I've been on calls with Scott for the last year, and Scott and I finally went to an event together about a week ago, and
Oh,
it was really
good.
strange to actually meet in person.
It was.
Right,
we
right.
we felt like we knew each other, but when we actually walked up and could actually see each other and shake hands, it was kind of a weird experience.
You know what?
I mean, it was really
I
cool.
walked by him a couple of times. I'm like, I think that, right? I'm doing
Yeah,
that.
right.
I'm
And
like,
it's even
but then I saw
more.
his tall son. I'm like, oh, that's got to be Keelan.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think we're all getting back to the in-person meetings, and hopefully, you know, as the fall and everyone's getting vaccinated, we'll all feel a little bit more comfortable with that. But definitely, you know, try to set up one-on-ones with each other, even if it's just a quick Zoom call. You are great resources for one another. So thank you for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all of your input. And again, thank you, Scott. Really great, valuable tips. And we'll share the information with one another, and I'll send you the recording. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a great holiday.
Yes, happy 4th.
Be
Yes,
safe.
enjoy it. Take some time off. You too, Rizal. No
Yes.
working on the 4th. All right, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.